Hello, this is Dr. Jason Munsell. It is just a little bit after 12 p.m. on Monday, July 14th, and in this lecture I'm going to be covering Chapter 5 in our textbook. I have a few comments just about some of the stuff that was due yesterday. I was very pleased with the emails. There's a few that I have not gotten yet. I'm really pretty flexible guy, so if you have not emailed me, I would encourage you to do so ASAP. If I've read your email, I have graded it and put that grade on Koala Connection for you to see. Overall, they're very professional, very well done. You all know what you're doing. You read the directions, and you looked at, for the most part, I think, the example. Some of the things that I would like to highlight that I think you just need to remember. Make sure you always have a subject line, and then make sure that the material in the email it actually adheres to the subject line. Make sure that you do have greetings and salutations. Don't just throw an email on there. I do that sometimes, and I probably shouldn't. Again, I'm do as I say, not as I do sometimes. So, dear Dr. Munsell or Dr. Munsell, and then sincerely something at the end. I've emailed you a few things to consider as well, but overall I was very, very pleased. Very pleased with the tweets that I have seen. I think I've seen almost all of them. I try to favorite them to showcase that I have read it. If you did not get a favorite, I might have missed it. But remember that the whole thing with the tweets, you only have 140 characters, and so you sort of have to capture something about what you learned in those 140 characters, which is very, very difficult, but that's sort of the point. But you can also add links and pictures, and there's lots of different things. And so I was particularly pleased seeing some folks adding some links that pertain to computer-mediated communication. I think that's really cool. And the Tumbler stuff, I was really pleased. For those I have seen, I think I've seen pretty much all of them, but I tried also to like those with the little heart. Again, I'm not really giving you a whole lot of feedback with the tweets and the blogs, because you really can't. You can do no wrong, really. I'm not grading you on content there. These are some things that you're just sort of writing to consider and reflect on some things. So as long as you do it, you get the credit. And I won't give you that credit until the end of our 4 weeks together. But know that if you got a favorite or if you got a like, that I've seen it. But again, if not gotten anything like that from me, please let me know, because I might have missed it. And also, I noticed that a lot of you are not using the hashtag, and I would encourage you to use the hashtag. Now, I require you actually to use the hashtag now at this point. Hashtag, which looks like the old number, hash on your computer, hashtag CMC Koala. Use that both for Twitter and for Tumbler, and I will be able to see them a lot better. Of course, others can see that stuff too, depending on your privacy setting. And also, I've still noticed that for either Twitter or Tumbler, there's still a few sort of pending acceptances of my following you. If you have your privacy settings set pretty strictly, you have to approve the folks who ask to follow you, and so if I'm still pending, I obviously have not seen your stuff yet. But overall, I'm very, very, very pleased with what you have done. As I've said previously, in this type of class, you sort of get out of it what you put into it. And since I'm not doing quizzes or exams, a lot of this stuff is just up to you. So empower yourself to learn. Also, I wanted to say that this is going to be a pretty tough week, because not only do you have to do all the stuff that you did last week, and well, you all are doing great work, but you also have to write your first paper, and that's that website application paper. I am going to put new stuff on Quality Connection, little links to things about writing, and I also am going to put up either today or tomorrow, more likely tomorrow, the grading matrix for this paper. But the directions are in the syllabus. Basically, I'm just asking you to find some sort of website out there that offers best practices or ideas about how to use CMC or social networking sites, all these little abbreviations that we have, that are about a context in which you are interested in. So if you're in health communication, can you find something that pertains specifically to using CMC within the healthcare setting, sort of best practices there? What about if you're in leadership and professional communication? And there's my dog again, because he is a professional communicator. We took him to barking classes, and he barks well. But you know, if there's a business setting, or you know, how best to use CMC in a nonprofit sector, or in a college, I mean, I don't know, whatever your own interest might be, in a legal setting, just so it's sort of up to you, but that's what that's all about. And I think within the syllabus I give you some really good detail so far as how to write. And I'm willing to look at rough drafts, and so if you want to send me a rough draft before the stuff is due, and I'm giving you the weekend again to do all these the things that are due this week, that your second email, your second tweet, your second blog, and then that paper. But please let me know if I can help. But again, y'all are doing really good work so far, and I think I've seen pretty much everybody's stuff, though there's a few I think that I have not. With all that being said, I'm going to try to be fairly brief here and get through chapter 5. One of the things, though, I wanted to say before we get into chapter 5 is you might notice that I'm doing these lectures and these PowerPoints sort of on the day or the day before you actually watch them. I've taught computer media communication 2 times before this particular class, so this is the first one that's completely online. And as I think I've said before, I used another book, but now that book is a little bit dated. And so I suppose I could have used that old book and just sort of rehashed former lectures and everything like that, something that was made like 5 years ago, like maybe some other online schools do. But I wanted everything to be up to date and fresh, and since it's sort of in the here and now, I think it gives it sort of almost a flavor of it being sort of face-to-face, even though it is not face-to-face. But you will be watching this, in a sense, some of you, if you watch it today, on the same day I'm actually making it. And you know, I'm getting through this book sort of as you're getting through the book, though I've read bits and pieces of it previously, and I know a lot of the authors. So we are in this together. Go team. Okay, so the slide, the second slide after the introductory slide is, there was a cop in front of my house. I don't know what was going on. Maybe he's checking out, or she's checking out my little free library. I just put in a little free library. If you know what that's about, you can go check it out online, or just the idea of what a little free library is, more or less for the neighborhood kids to come get books to read. Maybe the cop was looking at my library and thinking about maybe getting a book. Okay. The introduction, so slide number 2. By the way, I don't know the other author, but I do know Patricia Amundsen. She goes by Trish. She's at the University of Arkansas, and that's where I got my bachelor's and master's, if you recall. And she is great. She's a former president of the Southern States Communication Association, and so she's a really top-notch scholar. So, and this chapter is pretty academic-y, as they all are. So, but you got a good author here. Also, some of the things they tend to focus a lot on I am or instant messaging. And if you don't know what that is, well, IM stands for instant messaging. It's basically the instant back and forth. So like live chat on Facebook is instant messaging. And I do that a lot with a lot of my friends from across the country and throughout the world. So, but it goes past that, I suppose. This is not all about instant messaging, but they sort of focus on the idea of instant messaging and how many people are actually doing it. And it does show how pervasive CMC is, as well as SNSs, as well as IM. But even their information is a little bit dated, because the stuff that they're offering from the Pew Internet and American Life Project, or PIALP, or PIALP, is 2005, it looks like. So I give you the link on the second slide to that particular website, and actually it's really, really cool. I took a look at it. One of the things that sort of struck me was they sort of said what technology is going to be like, or what they think it's going to be like in 25 years. Talk a lot about the wearable stuff and the Google glasses, if you've heard about that type of stuff. I think in 25 years we're all going to be robots, and we'll all just but in any case, so if you want more up-to-date information about how many people use stuff, take a look at the most recent data that is on that particular website. One thing our authors do not talk about, and I think they should, because, and again, this is always my sort of critical lens, there is this idea called the digital divide. One of my former students actually called it digital segregation, which I think is a really cool term, and perhaps a very good analogy for what's going on here. Having access to all this stuff costs money, right? Really, nothing is free. There's no such thing as a free iPad. But you know, a lot of folks like me, middle class college professor, you know, I can afford a computer at home. I can afford an iPad and an iPhone, and wireless, and I have my printer and fax here, and you know, a lot of the technology I have in my home is a lot better than the technology we have in my office at college. And my wife and I don't have any kids, so we spend, you know, all our kid money on fancy computer stuff. But there's a lot of folks who don't have access to this, so we should not think that even though it's pervasive, that everybody has this stuff. That's not the case. And that is problematic, I think, because there's a lot of advantages to having access to just basic online access, finding jobs, getting technical skills and everything like that. And I'll say a little bit more about that. But and particularly looking at, you know, there's bigger questions about, again, who owns certain information, or who owns the just the capacity to create all this stuff. Like there's been a lot of debates about you know, having sort of I guess a universal broadband or universal wireless, where everybody is going to be able to access that stuff. But of course, all the telecommunication corporations and businesses don't want that, because they want to make money. So, and then when you look at the entire world and everything like that, I mean, geez, I mean, there's it's not like in some third world country or something like that. I mean, they're going to have access to the same stuff, you know, and then of course they have more important stuff going on. I mean, it's a crazy world out there. So even as you look at all this information about how many people are doing it, remember that having access to this stuff is a privileged station in life. And we should never forget that there is that digital divide. And I hope that more and more people are able to access this information, because it is something that helps us in our lives, I do believe. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And then they also sort of offer a